twice.
そうかよおい。
おせえよ渡部。
渡部さん。
It's curtain rose, the gym was filled with cheers and boos of the students.
人、おのえ、何してんだよ。早く戻ってこいって。
あれ
Suddenly, a rumor spoke.
え、どうしたの？
見てください。なんか変です。
Yeah, I thought so. She pointed to the stage. I looked up towards it.
Huh?
Oh, what the fuck? That's like the pregnant man that happened. W had come up the stairs backstage and was walking towards the podium. But he was staggering and struggling to stay up, and he looked like he was in pain. There was thick sweat on his forehead, and something that looked like drool was dripping down his lips. But what was even stranger was his stomach. How to describe it? The spot between his ribs and his hips, right where his stomach and intestines would be, was all swollen up. You heard the word beer belly a lot, but it was worse than that. It was as if someone had stuck a giant rubber ball under his shirt. Students saw this and started to whisper. Their voices grew louder and louder. His moans grew louder as he reached the center of the stage. Just listening to them was enough to make you go crazy.
何ですかあれ。何なんですか。
わからない。
The whole gym, including the three of us, started to get louder. Yes, I get it, they all scream. The students screamed in echoes of my ears. Some people were trampled and a man rushed to the exit. But as everyone else was panicking, Rumor and I stood there in silent shock.
あれは。
そんな。
Something was pouring out of Watabi's mouth, mixed with his blood and stomach fluids. It was a face. Of course, it wasn't Watabi's face. It was something we'd seen many times before. Oh. What was it? I knew it well, but it took me a few seconds to understand. And then... Oh.
力士シール。
Mass amounts of them! Jesus Christ! Women began to scream, a voice joined the cacophony created by the other screaming students. October the 10th, 2015, Saturday. 12:28 p.m. In an unused classroom in Heiko Academy.
何もないところですいませんが、ここでお待ちいただけますか。
いえ、早く来てしまったのはこちらですから。
Toby bowed, and the man who led him here from the teacher's office bowed back. Then the man left the room. The good man named as soon as he heard it. All he remembered was that he was a typical high school teacher, and somewhat delicate features. That was all Watabi thought he needed to know.
しかし、なんでもねえところだな。
He'd heard that it was famous, but once he'd gotten inside, he'd found that it was just a normal high school, maybe a little cleaner than most. He'd seen a TV crew from some station interviewing a student on his way here, but he couldn't imagine there was anything worth asking one.
まあ、多少は見どころのある奴らもいるみたいだが。
Since his ostensible reason for being here was to do an article on the culture festival, he had to take a few pictures. Since it didn't matter what pictures he took, he decided to just walk through the school. As he went by a class that was doing some kind of Go Froggy Cafe, there was a bit of fuss. Soon after student asked him for handshakes and autographs. Almost the entire class had known his name. He'd even taken a selfie with a girl who said she was a huge fan of his. When he told her to keep it a secret, she'd given him an innocent smile. That was the way it should be. That was the way normal people were supposed to act.
もっと上に行ってやれ。
It was only a short while ago that an online friend of his had suggested he come here. And he'd been putting together what he'd found out about the sumo stickers. Those fucking brats of the newspaper club here had published it just before he did. He'd given up on publishing his own article, but at least decided to show it to someone. When he'd let his friends see it, they suggested he publish it anyway. True, he was confident in the article itself. He'd gotten a very good picture of the sumo stick at the Love Hotel, which the newspaper club had only been able to get from a distance. There was a chance he'd be called out for plagiarism, but then his friend had continued. You're capable of turning that to your advantage, right? His friend knew him well.
所詮は高校生の一部活だ。
Everything would depend on how he handled the interview, but Watabe was confident he could use this to bolster his fame. The ideal result would be to show that the newspaper club were the ones who had copied him, despite the timestamps showing differently. Idiot. They were in the newspaper all the time, so they were sure to know who he was. If he offered them the chance to help with his articles, they'd jump on it no matter what demands he made. He started off at the very bottom and he'd work his way up this far. He was capable of getting any scoop he wanted. His power was a blessing from heaven for a man who wanted to be a first-rate journalist. The whole history of journalism, there had never been a case where a net reporter had identified a suspect ahead of the cops, the news, or the magazines. When a writer at a weekly magazine had found a suspect before the police, the whole of Japan went into an uproar. Watabe wanted to surpass that.
あとは警察へのコネがあれば完璧だな。
Flying too close to the sun there, Icarus. His one worry was the Love Hotel incident. When he charged into the crime scene and got into a fight with the cops there, his camera had gone out of focus and he failed to get part of the sumo sticker. He used that to get his scoop, but if someone on the police force was paying attention to those stickers, and if they were enough of a weird to be paying careful attention to Watabe's articles, they might find something strange.
まあ大して違ってはいないだろうからな。
Oh, it is different. People didn't really want to hear the truth. They wanted lies that sounded true, embellished so that they were all pleasing. Oh shit, there's that knocking. When he heard that sound, he quickly flipped himself back on into hard-working, good-natured water mode.
はい、どうぞ。どうぞ。
They didn't open the door, nor did they say anything. It's like a vampire, you have to open the door yourself. Toby grunted soft enough that they couldn't hear, and then put on a smile as he went to answer the door. And we all know what happened to him after that, don't we?
なんですかあれなんなんですか
You ended up swallowing all those posters.
わからない。
I started abandoning it for the screams. Then Watabe's body fell to the floor as if in slow motion. His legs were splayed. His eyes were opened wide, still full of the terror of death. He was weeping tears of blood, and
あれは
そんな。
力士シール。
yes, it was a huge pile of sumo stickers. Watabe was probably already dead, but there were still crumbled sumo stickers pouring out of his mouth. My heart was racing. Beads of cold sweat had formed on my back. I felt a scream running off my throat, but something held it back.
電話。
Tommy's eyes were motionless, pointing toward nothing in particular. I wanted to look away from this madness, but I couldn't.
警察って何番？そうだ。117。
No, wait, the police were... Wait, what was it? Maybe it was 119?
おい。
Hmm? Yeah, the voice was suddenly able to tear our eyes away from Watabe's body. There was a female student making her way towards us, past the crowds following the exits. A female student? No, she felt too grown up for that. She was wearing a white lab coat. Between that and the sharp look in her eyes, part of me thought she might be a coroner.
一体何があった？
She slowly looked around the gym. Her gaze stopped on Watabe's body. And then, without moving an eyebrow, she
やっ
said,
たのはお前たちか。